In every movement, there is purpose. In every breath, there is discipline. For centuries, martial arts have been more than just a practice of combat. It is a path of growth, balance, and self-discovery. From childhood to adulthood, martial artists shape more than our bodies. It transforms our minds and spirits. It teaches us to fall and rise, to struggle and persist. Each belt earned is not just a symbol of skill, but of the challenges faced and the resilience gained. This is a story of those who have grown up on the mat. They have faced doubt, defeat, and frustration, but also strength, focus, and triumph. Their journey is not defined by victories in the ring, but by the quiet victories within. From their first steps in the dojo to the moment they tie on their next belt, these warriors are learning more than martial arts. They're learning how to grow, how to overcome, and how to find peace within themselves. This is their journey. This is their path. It is a path I know well. It is one that has thrown me off more times than I can count. And in the end, I too left the mat. But I never forgot the lessons. I never forgot the patience and the drive. I only needed time to be reminded of what I had lost. And now we will see how this art of combat has aided those in the future. When high school rolled around, a lot of things had changed for me. Both in my lifestyle, my surroundings, and my responsibilities. While in high school, there was a lot more requirements. There was a lot more emphasis on education. Because if I don't do well here, I'll never get into university. I'll never get the job I want. And I'll never be able to take care of myself. These were all ideas that were pushed and drilled into my head the moment I stepped in. And it took over my entire life. This right here was me. I was around 7 years old at the time, taking part at the Sheridan Family Taekwondo School. This was the first martial arts tournament that I actually took on as a kid. People say high school is meant to be the peaks or lows of people's lives. And for me, it was definitely the lowest. While there were definitely many great things and many good friends made, I felt like I lost something. Part of me that I took a long time to reclaim. And it was that mentality that really started to affect me in high school. At one point, I ended up being part of a basketball team. But that was short-lived. And that wasn't the only sport that was short-lived for me. While I was there, I was focusing more and more on my studies. I couldn't go to martial arts anymore because all that time spent in a martial arts class could be spent studying or getting a project done or writing an essay. Throughout my high school life, it felt like it was draining me more and more. not even counting my social life. So I started going less. I managed to hammer out a few extra classes, and eventually I was able to take the test to gain my first ever black belt. And I succeeded. It was my greatest accomplishment. But I felt like I was done. There wasn't really much for me to strive for. So I ended up leaving martial arts. And it was the greatest mistake of my life. To try to keep myself occupied, I took up guitar lessons. Ironically, at the same place where my martial arts were being done. And while I had fun with it, I eventually quit that too. I just didn't bother practicing. It's kind of funny looking back at my history when it came to martial arts, because my parents just threw me into it when I was 6 because they couldn't afford a nanny to watch us. And it was just me and my 2 older siblings. And it was fun for a little bit. We got to go to certain events. My sisters, on the other hand, they kind of fell out with it. My sister Lulu, she jumped from martial arts to ballet and even had a recital that I got to see, but she would end up leaving it by the time she hit high school. My sister Hannah, on the other hand, she was jumping from multiple different hobbies, whether that was violin, gymnastics. She even took piano lessons alongside my sister Lulu. And even though she doesn't play either of them, Lulu still plays the piano. Well, I did have fun with those experiences. I never felt the same way when I went to martial arts, because usually when I did, I was tired, I was frustrated with things that were going on, and it felt like a good way to let out my aggression. Although I would later come to realize that that wasn't really the healthy way of dealing with your own frustrations. Even my own instructor himself told me that martial arts is not about anger, it's not about, wanting to hurt a person, it's about discipline. It's about being strong in your character, not just in your muscles. And those were lessons that I would try to emulate and carry to this very day. The difference is that it's been so long since I've done any sort of training like that these lessons are kind of harder and harder to hold on to. And maybe that's just growing up. Struggles get more complicated. Things don't always go your way, even if you do try. But I'm still here. I'm still trying. And maybe that's all I need. I just need to know that no matter what happens, I tried. And I can be happy with that. But maybe I'll see if that's true after I'm done here.